Academy. They lay down the shatter, let the bodies hit the floor. Uprising Academy at 95%.
Right now with Hydra building up to this Air Barrage so quickly.
Oh!
And asking!
Double kill in the back with the pulse bomb from the high ground. Aerial assault with that mine.
Impact se escucha de abajo gritar campeón a Sky Foxes.
Holy cow.
And after 42 consecutive losses, the Shanghai Dragons get their first win.
8 teams enter this weekend.
Oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing?
We got a clip with minimal information. It's time to break it down. Speed, 25%. Go. Figure out what this man's SR is.
Keep fighting till it's for sure lost.
Winnable!
Friends and enemies of Twitch chat, welcome to the first ever, the inaugural Elo Hell Workshop Community Workshop Jam. The best, the brightest, the daftest workshop modes our community could come up with, revealed here today solely for your entertainment. I'm Big Hungry Phil, and with me to bring you the insanity is Thibbledork Thibble. Welcome to the broadcast. How's it going?
Man, it's going. I think I can speak for every Overwatch fan here, where our sleep schedules are a little weird, but you know, we carry on. We're doing our best.
Can I recommend something to you, which is living in EU, because our time zones for the grand final were really, really quite good. We didn't have to do any sleep change at all.
See, I heard about that, but getting over to EU right now is a little tricky. So, you know, we'll come back to that. We'll circle back to coming to EU, because trust me,
put a pin in it.
I'd love to. I'd really enjoy that.
I'll buy you a beer when you do make it over here. But yes, it's a bit of a wild time at the minute. The pièce de résistance of the Overwatch world is now over for the year, and we've got to scrabble around in the muck and the dirt to find you new and interesting things to watch, which is what we've got for you here today. And I'm looking down this list of game modes, and they run the gamut from, oh, that's a neat idea. What a neat idea for a game mode. To, well, clearly the person that made this is some sort of psychopath. And I kind of can't wait to get into it. It should be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of these, they really do just want us to suffer as much as possible, which I get it. You know, the Overwatch community really deserves that at the end of the day. Whether or not we'll be able to handle it as casters remains to be seen. But yeah, some of these are looking pretty good, especially this first one we're getting into, which frankly is probably the most simple and put together on the list. Good one to start on for sure. Not enough teamwork. I am liking this one.
Yeah, it is. And just to explain this to people, so for those of you that are unfamiliar with the concept of a game jam, so a game jam itself is like a crunch development thing where you get given a theme and a handful of hours, a day, whatever, to make a game. The Workshop Jam, same basic idea. We've given people a theme and they've had a set amount of time to try and make this work. And the theme for this set of games is not enough, which is why you'll see such titles as Not Enough Teamwork, Not Enough Pain, and ominously, Not Enough Balls.
I mean, those are all problems people face every day, right? Yeah, sure. This one, though, Not Enough Teamwork, the one we're starting on. I'll run it down here because there are a few of these, and we're going to have to go over them all at some point, so we might as well just get started. For Not Enough Teamwork, you cannot kill an enemy by yourself. Your entire team must tag an enemy for them to be killable. Once they are all tagged, once an enemy is tagged by all of your teammates, I should say, they change color and take double damage from you. So they become much easier to kill once you've all tagged that person. And if you avoid taking damage for 20 seconds, those tags reset and you can go again, assuming you're not dead at that point. Because if you're taking double damage, you better either be running or hiding or using some resource to stay alive, because people are going to be gunning for you.
Yeah, and of course there are a few little bits and pieces there to help you out. It's not just one and done. If you can successfully avoid taking damage from anybody, then the tags on you reset and you get to go again from the start. And also there is a HUD, heads-up display in the top left-hand corner that tells you exactly who has put some damage onto you. And you know what, I actually like this as a general purpose educational tool. I think that particularly down at the lower ranks of Overwatch, one of the things that people struggle with is understanding that at its core, it's a team game and you've all got to get involved. And often the easiest way to win is all just turning and shooting the same person. So there's a tool for teaching people, like, cool teamwork, all kill the same person. I think it has some real value here. So I'm looking forward to this one and seeing if we can get that implemented in some way to certainly help me out of Elo Hell.
Right. Yeah. I mean, focus fire is a big deal, a big problem in a lot of the lower elos, as you said. You know, I've been stuck in plat for 20-something seasons at this point. Let me tell you, that's an issue consistently. So
it's always the other people, isn't it, Thibble? It's always everyone else that doesn't understand this.
Dude, my target focus, pristine. Everyone else's, trash.
Exactly.
If I just had good teammates, I'd probably be top 500, honestly.
We can but hope. I feel your pain as a fellow hard stuck something or other down the ladder on console as well, and it gets even worse on console. Let me tell you, it's real wild times out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in a minute or two, we're gonna hop into game here and kind of see what these teams can do. I believe these are just like testing teams. Just players that are dedicated to helping us figure out how good these game modes really are. And kind of our judgment throughout the day here in this jam is going to be not about like how well the players play mechanically, because some of these guys are going to get the real short end of the stick. But instead we are going to look at how good these game modes actually play, which is a fun metric, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're normally used to just like literally the number of points each team has at the far end of the match being the determinant here. Instead, we are going to be, as you say, judging just based on quality alone. Interesting to note that starting out here, this looks to be a 5v5 game mode rather than a 6v6 game mode, which is already going to be changing the dynamics here. I wonder what the actual mechanical reason for that is. So we will actually be able to talk to some developers. Unfortunately, we don't have the developer for this game to talk to us straight out. But for some of the later ones, we certainly will. But I'd love to know what the rationale for this is. Okay, it does seem like we... like we are finally into the game, and yet, unfortunately, we did have a little bit of a mute there from Thibble. Thibble, what were you going to say?
No, yeah, I was just saying the winner of this game itself is actually, as I was bringing up, the winners are chosen by the people playing the game. They decide which game modes they like best and everything. I was also going to say that maybe the 5v5 is just because, like, actually, we're getting a 6-player.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, interesting.
Maybe we're just having a couple people loading in a little late or something, perhaps.
But I wonder if this is maybe more of an... Oh no, there we go. Oddish finally joining in. You have the 6v6. I was wondering if having fewer people to coordinate actually makes it easy.
That would be an interesting dynamic to test as well, perhaps on the next go around. But at the moment, we have
to see how that works out. So we do still have a Warlock in place. It is 2-2-2 across the board here. And Zon currently having been tagged by Moira, but not for a little while here. So that's about to run out, and that's going to be tagged down already. Just receive a little bit of a clip there. And this is not looking good for the Doomfist here of Zibney. Currently 3, I think maybe even 4 tags available. Taking a bit of damage already.
He is rolling into the flank here, though, so he's got that going for him. Zarya does not seem to be aware just yet. Oh, and there she goes.
This is an interesting wrinkle, of course. We didn't consider the fact that environmental kills was a factor. So you can obviously still get the kill with the environmental, not have to worry about tag everybody in. I think this is, until we reach the end of the third section, the only place on the map where that's a real risk. But certainly keep an eye out for it going forward.
Right, and it's interesting to see kind of how the dynamics and positioning of this change when you have to worry about, okay, we all need to tag these people to really deal some damage and stuff. I think the Orisa here at Havostat just kind of setting up in front, making sure that she's always getting tags on whoever she can. and then also focusing down the turrets, because I don't know if the modifiers of the turrets are effective as much as the players.
I think it probably doesn't, and it certainly counts as a tag for whoever's playing with the turret. It counts as their damage. Lucio 1v1 in the Lucio versus Moira in the server room here. Both currently fairly immortal here, so I expect not going to be much happening on that one just yet. This is kind of hard to detect who the winner's going to be here, because there is a lot happening here, but no kills coming through. In fact, I think I've already seen Deltin go down. Spain is taking a lot of damage to the instance of the red team here, but again, just able to cleanse all that and keep themselves in the fight, and then of course with the big anti-nade into the middle of the fight there, helping a little bit. There's the nano boost over onto Zom. Zom not anywhere near that barrage, hoping to get some damage in over the top, but not finding too much. Molten Core out as well, currently 3 tags, and a kill on the cards here. One went down. Zom taking a lot of damage, well, currently 4 tags, only 2 tags away from being in a very precarious situation here.
Right, and they really have to be careful. The Torbjorn going down there was really just about him kind of running in front of everybody and waving his arms. Much like the Orisa, maybe a little less so for the Orisa, but the Orisa itself is such a big target that the tanks in general are going to be a lot more susceptible to this sort of game modifier, I'd say.
Yeah, 6 tags already onto Cactus Puppy. So very vulnerable for them up on the high ground. Instead, back over onto Cactus Puppy here. So, yeah, very vulnerable to the damage here. And this keeps getting reset, but we're actually seeing the target focus not really being quite good enough to take Cactus Puppy out of the fight, but they are momentarily retreating to try and cleanse some of that in much the same way that you'd see it cleanse Tornal. But Discord, for example, just with a much longer route.
Yeah, just trying to pull those sightlines and take that damage modifier off of you, but at the same time, they still have to contest the point here. And Team 2, the red team, as it were, are setting up quite comfortably. But these fights go on really long either way, so it's not as much of a death knell as it would be in a normal game to have to back up for a minute or two.
No, it's 12 immortals vying for control of a futuristic car, which is honestly a pretty good descriptor of Overwatch in general when you consider that everyone is brought back into the point after being eliminated. I'm starting to think that, well, that really the way to play this is to get a lot of high displacement, high mobility characters just to boop the people off of the cart. Well, the Zom does have the opening frag there. That's going to be Deltin down, although wasn't able to get the ultimate off and into place. We are just about running out of town here as Zimby goes down. Still no real clear front runner here. The Graviton Surge goes out, but it goes wide, lands in the stairs over to the left of the point. It's going to be Oddish tagging back onto the cart. Doesn't have the projected barrier to keep alive through that. And again, with nobody dying, it is so hard for this cart to really progress any further. It's a nice big charge. Havo stats with the pick onto Oddish there. Revexen's able to get Joshua there, and it's down to Niall walking to try and keep this going that little bit longer. Lots of cart presence here for both teams. No frags coming through just yet. Unsurprising with how the game mode is working out so far, but people not seeming to want to turn and actually deal with the fact that there are red players on the cart right now.
I think they're just pretty confident that they can wait this out. But that said, the respawns are still coming back, and you still have to re-tag all those players. With the Wrecking Ball coming in, this stall could be pretty massive. We could be in for a very long overtime here.
I mean, look, Dibble, I'm on record as hating the spin to win thing, particularly when it's in a ranked game, particularly when it's at a point where you can just spin forever, uncontested. Right now, it takes an insane level of target focus to take this Wrecking Ball out of the fight. Like, he's taking next to no damage here whatsoever. He can just do this indefinitely. We could be here doing this tomorrow, in theory.
Well, let's hope we're not, because I have things to do tomorrow. It's Monday. I think, I mean, like we said though, this is a great training exercise. If you want this Wrecking Ball to go down, you better focus your targets, because otherwise he's going to sit here forever. Provoxing getting another kill here onto Niall walking, but you need a little more than that. We need some juice, a big stun.
I think this is how you play it, right? It's all about CC. It's all about locking people up. Like, maybe you even want to tag back in on a Mei here just to try and freeze the Wrecking Ball and separate them out. Get that Blizzard to at least get people off the cart and frozen out. We are so deep into overtime now that if we tag off the cart for even a fraction of a second, it is going to tick down. So there is a lot of point presence required. It's down to Zimby now playing bouncer here effectively, tagging in with abilities that take people away and off the point. We're starting to see a couple of kills now come through for the red team. I think having a high damage potential character like Bastion coming in is certainly starting to help and chew through that damage resistance. But so far, it's still not enough to secure anybody a win here.
Ooh, the mines are a good touch. A little bit of displacement, plenty of burst damage for any targets that go down.
Over time, so close.
It's just, yeah, like you said, it's just a fraction of a second. The displacement is so key, but the Wrecking Ball is just stubborn and taking no damage. Couple kills here, a stun from Oddish onto the zombie, but I don't know if it's going to be enough still.
Zombie able to get away into the background and take Deltin out of the fight, builds up another turret, and with the sound barrier over the top, which feels like a little bit of overkill when you consider how bulky everybody already is. Still no sign of a clear victor here. A team fight that has been going on now for a solid 2 minutes at this point. I would almost have expected the map to have concluded in the time this team fight has been going on. Cactus Puppy gets the pick onto Oddish here. Blue team surging onto the point. If they can just displace, dislodge, remove, evict this Wrecking Ball from the point, they may solidify here. They get the sleep. He's now ungrappled from the cart and not currently spinning to win. They can't afford to let him set up even for a second here. Molten Core looking good now for the blue team. Stunned away there onto Nyawalki, who's going to go down. It's Zom with a double. That is the highest quick kill count we have seen for anybody in this game mode, and that's going to be just short of the cap on A for our first offense.
I think the Torb was actually sleeper quietly a very good pick, because if the turret counts as a tag for you, you have everyone tagged at all times. It's one person you don't have to worry about getting tags for. The Molten Core also accomplishes that goal. Large blanket of damage that just hits anybody that's even remotely walking over it. There's a tag for you right there. The rest of the team, of course, has to come in and help with that to a degree. But when you start getting 5 or 6 tags online with people, it's good to have that little extra security of knowing, okay, the Torbjorn's got it handled already. You know, they're dealing some solid damage that really can't be mitigated, especially the ultimate. It just melts through everything. So I think having that little extra layer of consistency was very nice for that team. That said, clearly the team fights are going to be a little extended, a little crazy here. This is definitely not a lost cause. A full hold here does not seem to be as much of a death sentence as it normally would be.
No, it's going to be down to, you know, fractions of a meter between these two teams at the end of this round. And I wonder if our teams have kind of missed a bit of a trick here. Like, Havo stats coming out on the Mei, I think is good. Her damage pierces, so does Winston's. That's piercing damage. A nice big anti-nade from Anna, damage that pierces and gets everybody. You don't have to worry quite so much about accuracy if you're all just spamming damage in.
Right, the splash from a Symmetra or a Mei would be very useful. A Blizzard as well locks those people up. Those people all get tagged and focused down. If they communicated effectively, a good Blizzard from Mei could end this round. Just one. So I like the pick coming out there for sure.
We can see Oddish picking up the Pharah this time, currently with 3 tags on them, so a little bit of risk taking some additional damage, but it has been a little bit of time. Oh, and this is very rough here for Spade. One more tag, and that's it. He is now in serious trouble. The damage coming through to him at a rate of knots, and 15 seconds remaining before that is cleansed, and he just disapparates into a cloud of dust, and you can hear the zombie coming in with the Christmas carols in celebration.
I like the move, though, because it's basically when you have 6 tags on you, you're probably going to die. You're glowing orange. They know that they're going to deal double damage on you. Stand there, contest the card as long as you can. Don't stagger yourself out. Don't get fancy with it. Just go respawn, because now he doesn't have any tags on him as he comes back in, and the zombie is getting focused down.
Yeah, the zombie very heavily focused there. I don't think quite got all 6 tags, but there was just so much damage coming his way that there was not a lot that could be done there to stop it. So, payload currently halted, and a fight happening now much closer to the cap on point A than I was really expecting when it's a Mei against a team of 4 here. Freeze is going to come through and momentarily lock up Spade. Only 1 tag on Deltin for now, so nothing to worry about just yet. And this is another one of these instances where, like, the TNT and the splash damage from that, I think, is huge in determining who wins this one.
Oh yeah, good job on that to really just get people as tagged up as you can see him just spraying here, just hoping to get a tag on everybody so they can work towards having those 6 tags on as many people as possible to focus down. But the zombie on the Bastion, I mean, mitigated damage or no, that's still a pretty consistent stream back.
There was the tag of 6 onto Delta. Nyao walking down as well. This is looking very good for the blue team right now. They've got a 4-man advantage. They've got space control. They've got boots. They've got hooks. 54% on the Blizzard is not late. You'd like a little more on that ready to go, but there's plenty of time. We saw how long that final team fight went on the red team's push.
Right, they really have to do something about Zizambite here on the Bastion. It's just raining down, uncontested, singing Christmas songs the whole way.
It's driving me crazy, Thibble. I hate it.
It's terrible. It's October. We're not even past Thanksgiving yet. Like, have some class, please. It's not even like a Christmas in July thing anymore. Like,
oh, we've got 2 Wrecking Balls spinning here. Wall's going to stop them both momentarily as they convert themselves into Newton's Cradle and just smash from end to end and transfer the momentum. Spade's going to go down here. That was a much better run in there by the blue team, eventually getting the cap in not enough teamwork.
right, blue team there, I think they really figured it out. You started seeing a consistent stream, a slower stream, but a consistent one of kills coming through, realizing, hey, this is really the way to do it. We really have to do this. Just pick one target, everybody go smack them, at least one, and then we burn them down and move on to the next. Pervoxin doing a great job here has shown of just getting in there himself, full Reddit Lucio style, punching and booping and doing what he's got to do to get that tag online. And just get in the face of the enemy team. And that was pretty effective coming around that split. They were all backed up. You get a couple kills, cart rolls right in.
I do think it's interesting that I suspect if we had seen a couple more rounds of this, we'd see the meta start to shift, such as it is a meta for a specific game mode. We saw, I think, like the splash damage and the piercing damage start to have the effect that we were properly expecting. And I wonder how that would have evolved if we'd kept on going with that game mode. But that is all we've got for Not Enough Teamwork. So that's one workshop mode out of the way already. And I'm looking at this next one, Not Enough Pain, and wondering how in the heck we go about explaining this to the people.
I mean,
because there's a lot here.
Not Enough Pain is a damn good explanation because it really keeps piling it on. Let's just go down the list here. The description itself says, let me list all the possible things that can happen to you, which terrifying enough, right?
Yeah.
If you damage someone, you take damage. If you heal someone, you hover in midair. If you are using an ult, and I don't necessarily know what this means, it says you hide, but then you kill yourself. Choose
I guess
life.
maybe go invisible and then self-destruct?
I suppose. Yeah, I guess you just kind of fall over dead. If you interact, like if you use a teleporter, you teleport 30 meters upwards, which there's no fall damage, just seems inconvenient, but also potentially useful from a strategic perspective.
Yeah.
You know, like throw a Widow in there. That's an instant jump shot every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me take some of your ultimate every 10 seconds you move. That sounds fun.
Can I just? We are less than halfway through the list at this point, guys.
Yeah,
There's a lot going on.
And so most of these are just like pithy comments rather than actual descriptors. For instance, oh, so you're in the air? Don't mind if I boop you.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds awful with the Widow jump shots. People are just bouncing around as I read these. Whenever you take knockback, you have a spaz sesh. Like, look at this. Just look at these guys bouncing around. We're about to get into the game here. You will see in just a moment. Observe.
Look at the tick rate. Like, I could understand this happening every 5 seconds, but the announcer here is slowly creeping up the screen because of how quickly these things are coming through. Like, every single second there is an event happening. It's ridiculous.
Let me keep going because frankly I don't even understand what's happening given all the various modifiers here. Whenever you take knockback, you have a spaz sesh. I imagine your mouse starts flying around or something. You randomly get stunned a million times because you have too many rights. All right, if I change your hero, maybe they're just random hero swaps. You have bad aim. Don't know what that one is.
That was a pre-existing condition, I'm afraid, Thibble.
Yeah, definitely. Not applying for Obamacare with that one. I like Team 2 better. Gives 100% temporary shields to Team 2. I like Team 1 better. Same thing for Team 1. Both of the teams have it right now. A random player might just die. Selfie cam. Random button presses. Randomly get knocked down. Randomly get revived. Randomly damage does not back. Sometimes boops will kill you. Sometimes you have no ammo. And sometimes there is a ping simulation where it makes you feel like you have high ping. This sounds like hell, and it looks like hell.
It does. I'd love to see this from a player POV because I think that's going to be the real difference maker. Like, this looks hard to play from a personal perspective. I think it's going to look even harder. Like, I'm just watching the Bastion here, of Proto Walker just zip and zopping all around the map. Like, that must be so hard to focus on.
I feel like they're all trying to play the game normally, and like Proto Walker can probably aim a lot better than that, but given the you have bad aim modifier, I imagine your sensitivity and DPI are modified perhaps. What was that? Delton jump or something and just disappeared. They'd just die.
Okay, I think. Okay, I think we're done. I think our players might have gone. Okay, this is literally hell, and I can't take any more. Please tag me out because.
I mean,
yeah.
Beautiful thing about the workshop jam is that they're not all going to be winners, and we're here to embrace that and celebrate the nature of testing, much like in Portal 2, perhaps. This one was something GLaDOS would definitely put together. This was not an old aperture science experiment. This was pure chaos. We can only wonder, only speculate at what exactly was going on there. I hope the list of horrors explained perhaps what could have been happening, but even we don't understand, and we don't expect you to either.
No, but I think we're moving on to something a little simpler now. We're moving on to a mode called Not Enough Balls, and I'll give you the rundown on this one. So this is this feels to me like a high school gym activity. There are balls on the opposite side of you that you've got to run to and melee to pick them up, and then you can run them over to your own spawn to score. You also have the option here to imbibe a beverage to make you run faster, and you can shoot people to stun them. So it really does feel like a modified dodgeball almost.
It feels to me like the Fall Guys game mode with the eggs, because
yes,
steal enemy balls as well. Maybe by hooking them while they're holding it. I don't think any of them have tried just yet, but it's you're trying to just run as many as you can. You know, like one of those like races where you run to the sponge and squeeze water into a cup, and you have to get this much water into a bucket. And it's an American game.
What is this? Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, it's weird American stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is just like a fun little mini game, and we're trying to see. It looks like someone's ball bugged out over there.
No, that's
there's
very
one right next to him though. So I mean,
I think
they're getting stolen or bounced around. Some of them reset after a second. You know, it's the nature of the beast here. Sometimes you just got to wait and try and steal them.
There's a lot less interaction here than I assumed there would be. Like Delton is being more or less uncontested here. He's got a score of 12. Next closest is Spade on 11. And it seems to the most part that you can just move backwards, forwards very quickly. So I think in order to break down what's going on here, we are going to involve the dev here. So we'll get them in just a second. But it is currently Spade and Delton tied for first at 13 apiece. Okay, so Naya, welcome to the broadcast. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration for this one.
Yeah, sorry. This game, this game was based off of one of my childhood games. I used to play it with my friends, a sort of like simpler version of this.
Okay, yeah, we were just saying in the broadcast, like it feels very much like a high school gym activity. So I guess we were kind of right on the money with that one.
Yeah, basically. Sorry, the stream's playing twice, so it's confusing me.
Right, apologies.
Yeah, it's fine, but basically there would be a game where we could. Well, it's basically the Fall Guys game. Basically, we would have multiple balls, and we would have to put them in our like sort of goals, but we could steal from each other. And whoever had the most balls at the end of the game in their goal would win.
Okay, it looks like we do have the winner for this mode. It's Cactus Puppy. Not Cactus Puppy. So this is Cactus Puppy with the play of the game. I'm not entirely sure how the game is going about determining this, but I think we will see the melee, the pickup, and we actually do get the dunk on the back end of that one. And unfortunately, we've not actually got the scores logged here, unfortunately. So we're just going to go ahead and give that to Delton as he is up at the top of the leaderboard on that one. But yeah, thank you very much for coming and giving us the introduction on that one. I think we might be going into another round already here. So I mean, if you wanna stay on and give us a little more, I didn't realize we were going in for another round here. But so you know, for people like myself and for people like Fibble who haven't really done anything with the workshop, like how difficult is it to get something like this going? Oh, apologies. We have just momentarily lost now. I said goodbye a little bit too quick on that one. So hopefully they're back with us now. Oh, maybe not. Hard to say.
I heard him join in. Might just be a second. We'll see how that goes.
Sure.
In the meantime, hi, hello. Yeah, there. Hi.
Sorry now, a little bit confusing. That was entirely on me, that one. So what I was saying was, myself and Thibble, and a lot of people out there have never really done anything with a workshop. How difficult is it to get something like this up and running?
I mean, see, to get this just working, that's the sort of easy part. If you want like to get all the bug fixes and stuff, that's really hard. A lot of whenever you make game modes and they work, that's usually a good thing, but most of the time they also have a lot of bugs, and that's the annoying part.
So how long has this taken you to... Sorry, Thibble, go on.
No, I was just going to say, were there any notable or interesting bugs that plagued you in the development process for this game?
Actually, yeah. In the first game, you can see that Proto Walker's ball fell out of the arena area, and he couldn't reach it, which is pretty annoying. I haven't implemented a way to fix that yet.
I guess in the game jam format, you don't really have a huge amount of time to work out the bugs.
Yeah.
Like that. In fact, yeah, we have just seen another. In fact, Proto Walker again, just the ball went absolutely flying on that one. So, and I love the flavor text. You can yoink the ball, so go nuts. I think that's a really nice touch then.
Yeah. I didn't really take this as a serious game mode. I thought of this game mode like I thought of like a better one, but when I realized that would take that too long, I was like, oh god, and then I had to come up with this idea.
Right, you only have so much time in this format, so yeah, it makes sense. But this feels like a good I'm hanging out in a stack with the boys, and I just want something to play while we're in queue. This is a great time passer for like in queue sort of games.
Yeah, no, that was sort of my intention with it. I wanted it just to be something, you could play with your friends if you wanted to, like if you were bored or something. Totally. Just something quick.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot more approachable and cohesive than the previous game mode that we had on, which was Not Enough Pain.
That's a low bar.
Yeah, that looked very difficult to play. This, I can follow this. It seems very straightforward. It seems very well done. So, yeah, thank you for your submission. Really enjoyed watching that one.
All right, thank you.
No worries. Okay, so that puts us as 3 game modes down, guys. And at that point, we are going to throw to a very short break so that we can get everybody ready and together for the next of our game modes. But during the break, we are going to see a little bit about an upcoming event here at Elo Hell, which is Elo Hell's first foray into providing a formal platform for the path to pro in the Trial of Champions coming up later this week. In fact, the very first third-party event in the history of Overwatch to provide a path to pro endorsement. This is going to include a $3,000 prize pool for the top 3 teams, which is sponsored by Blizzard, and 2 opportunities to enter into the next month's Contenders Trials tournament. So this is a real shot in the arm here. This completely steps aside from the Open Division tournament and gives people a very direct route into competitive play. Games are going to start on October 14th, and it'll be broadcast here on Elo Hell's Twitch. Go to elohell.gg/TOC for more information. We're going to throw it to a quick break and see you in a little bit.
Sigma? Oh, whoa! Whoa, man, back with a...
The amp matrix up on the pillar just for cool ABC. Go absolutely berserk.
So you queue up for Overwatch Ranked, only to be greeted by this, which then leads to this, and oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing? The solution? Elo Hell pickup games.
Hey, you know what? Just what we're doing.
Oh my god, it's huge! Oh, no! Kill! Let's go!
Open to players of all ranks and most platforms, Pugs give you the chance to experience competitive Overwatch as it was meant to be played. Competitively.
I need help.
I'm with you.
Shoot.
No way, dude.
Go. Let's go. Nice. Good call.
Players set their icons to indicate the role they want to play, then 2 captains pick their teammates and draft the most competitive teams they can. You can also take part in our pioneering learning event, Coached Pugs. To take part, join the Elo Hell Pickup Games Discord, and be sure to read the Pug Guide and FAQ. Good luck, have fun, and we'll see you in-game.
Welcome back, everybody. Short break now out of the way, and we are back live with the action. Big Hungry Phil and Thibblesdork still with you and ready to bring you our next game mode, which is called Short-Lived.
I like this one, actually. It's a little more simple, perhaps, than a couple of the ones we've seen so far. Basically, the rundown is you have 10 seconds to live, but punching people, this is a Tracer free-for-all. So punching people as Tracer extends your life. You can use, the only thing you can use to heal is recall because you're Tracer. And the goal is just don't die. Don't let your timer reach 0.
Just like real life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just try not to die on any given day. And that day's probably a good one. So this, it looks like it could be a little chaotic. We were watching a little bit of it being played out in the break, but also looks like a very interesting and well thought out system.
I think what we're seeing from a lot of these modes is that typically having a very solid, simple core concept to hang a game around typically makes for a better game mode. So, even compared to Not Enough Teamwork, the first game that we saw, like the rule set for Not Enough Teamwork is relatively complicated in terms of you have to have the right number of tags or avoid getting tagged and it resets after 20 seconds. It's a lot to focus on. Because this is like very simply a one character deathmatch with a little bit of a twist, I think it has the potential to be good, simple, if chaotic fun. So looking forward to being able to show that to people here.
Yeah, expect a lot of bonks. We had, I believe we had at least one person with the new comic challenge Tracer skin. So you'll be hearing some fun and interesting sound effects in addition to all the blinks and the haze and the cheers loves. So fun, chaos. Not as much bouncing around and teleporting across the map and randomly dying and things like that. So
I'm
down.
At the very least.
Yeah, right.
I'm just looking at our lobby, and I noticed there is a yes ant in the game today, and I'm wondering if that is one of our very esteemed staff members here at Elo Hell, or if it's just a coincidence with someone else happening to be called Yes I Hear Other. Hope maybe we'll find that out after the map, but certainly keep an eye on that player. Because if it is, of course, one of our wonderful staff members, then they will be in a position to be taking a lot of flack if they don't do too well in this game mode.
Oh, yeah. Definitely opening themselves up to some torment. But hey, that's the nature of the game sometimes with Overwatch. You get in there, you bare your heart, and it hurts you. But you recover.
Again, just like real life.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's about finding the beauty in everything, even Overwatch.
So
just wait to hop into game. Sorry, yeah.
Just waiting on final confirmation. So I think we should hopefully now be pulling the trigger on that one and getting ready to go in. Now, one thing that is worth noticing, just in the little preview that we had in the break, it does get kind of noisy. Like there's a lot of blink, there's a lot of recall, there's a lot of voice line spam, and as you intimated, the bonk and the other comic book sound effects coming out here. So, bear with us. We'll do our best to talk over the noise. And hopefully it doesn't drive you to distraction too quickly.
Yeah, we're going to have to really keep an eye on, I suppose, who's getting focused down. If one person becomes the object of many other Tracers' attention, they might start looking dangerously low. There's obviously going to be some recall management we have to keep an eye on. And the element of the timers itself. is a big thing. If you can't get some swings in, if people are avoiding you, then, you know, it looks pretty dire after about 10 seconds.
And it looks like we are now getting ready to go into game. The countdown is live, and the chaos can begin shortly. There is, of course, an aspect of this where you don't want to be the Tracer that looks like they're going to be winning, because that can get you heavily bullied. I'm thinking back to the Doomfist 1v1 that the Philadelphia Fusion ran with Chipser, who just got bullied out of existence in the opening round here. So you very much don't want to be in a position where you look like you're a threat. Slow and steady wins the race here, I think.
Right, and Big Bomb here is kind of doing it right. He's just trying not to bring too much attention to himself, just kind of getting out of the way as much as possible, blinking away from people coming in, but he does get caught out by two people at the same time there.
Yeah, unfortunately, you really got to watch out. Ooh, very Canadian taking the win there. Will win that first point in the first round. 10 seconds starting up again. Very Canadian looking to repeat this win here. Counter down. And you've got to keep your eye balanced between the timer and your own HP.
And you can see, though, people turning onto him, knowing, like, okay, he won last round. We got to keep an eye on him. And he's taking people out already.
Yeah, he's got a nice lead, though. 14 seconds and climbing. He needs to be the last Tracer standing here. I believe there's another pick. That's Louis Thankin taken down already. Recall out from Very Canadian, so momentarily that little bit more vulnerable. And I think we're seeing a lot of very good utilization of the Blink melee combo here.
Oh yeah, I mean, managing those frames almost like a fighting game is kind of how this plays out. Recall does heal you fully, but has that long 12-second cooldown. So X actually taking this second round. Excuse me.
Yeah, that was very, very close, though. That was down to, I think, probably a handful of fractions of a second for each of our two remaining Tracers. Moving on into the third round, though. Still all to play for. Only 1 point for two players on the board.
Right, and I'm not sure the final score needed to win overall, but it's going to go for a couple rounds at least, even if Very Canadian and X end up taking some wins here in these next rounds. That said, I mean, it's really anyone's game at pretty much any time. It's so chaotic, so back and forth. The recalls all coming through and the blinks. I mean, it can shift so fast over the course of the round.
Yeah, I think it's maybe not the best esports experience, if we put that in air quotes. Like, it's very difficult to track what is happening on a second-to-second basis unless you are like directly on board with one player. But as you rightly say, X currently at a 2-point lead, and Louis Thankin out nice and early in that one.
Yeah, sometimes you just get focused down. Not enough blinks really coming through. I mean, you really have to keep your movement constant because there's so much ability. Someone blinking into Very Canadian's outstretched pistol whipping arm. He has 80 health to work with. Now recalls coming in and just swinging away. His timer has always been above 10 seconds. He is so consistent with his melees, and it's giving him a pretty noticeable edge.
It is. I think what we're seeing here is somebody that is used to playing Tracer. So it's Very Canadian with another win on the board. So it's 2 and 2. X for 2 and Very Canadian for 2. And I believe that is the end of the round there, which I think that was actually one of the more straightforward rounds we've had so far today, but a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think with maybe a little extra overlay love, perhaps providing some more information about timers for each player, their health, and perhaps their recall cooldown timers as well. A couple extra informational resources might really make that one shine, because the gameplay itself, super simple, kind of easy to pick up, tough to master situation. Like obviously good Tracer players would have a field day with that. And I think Very Canadian was definitely our resident Tracer main, just kind of running around and bopping people on the head. So I would not mind watching that again. That was a lot of fun.
It has that, for certain game modes, particularly in the workshop, there's like I nearly got it sort of feeling that you get at the end of the round. And like those were very, very close to each other, I think. So a lot of fun to be had in that one. But short-lived is, as its namesake suggests, short-lived. We are now done with that one. Moving on to our next game in the series, which is called Free-to-Play Hell. So I'll start things off with a description here. Close or get scammed by ads to increase your advertisement power. Both your abilities and weapons require advertisement power to run. Deal damage or take damage to get more advertisements to close. But beware, if there isn't enough space on your crappy computer, it will blow up and kill you. So it's an interesting one, Thibble.
Yeah, this feels a lot like the kind of like the crazy taxi sort of challenges that'll pop up in certain driving or shooting games where okay, you're on a bus, but the bus has a bomb strapped to it. But to keep the bomb from exploding, you have to go above 50 miles an hour. So
I think
something
they
like
call
that.
that game the bus that wouldn't slow down.
I'll take it. Yeah, this there was also a movie called Speed. Thank you, production. That's what I was thinking of. But this is you just have to manage your meter and keep an eye on your resources to prevent yourself from dying. In a way, it's very similar to the last game we just played.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how the whole ad dynamic will go. Are we going to see a bunch of Raid Shadow Legends or some other providing partner of Elohel? I don't want to throw out sponsors we're not sponsored by. But
no, I just hope that they're all, you know, PG-13 at most. Like, I hope we're not getting anything spicy in our ads, which is often what you get in the more dubious free-to-play models. So, you know, if we suddenly cut away from the game mode, it's because something unfortunate has cropped up on screen. But fingers crossed that's not the case.
We've accidentally found one of those workshop modes in the game browser that says 18 plus mercies only, and you just have to nope, cut the feed.
Yep.
On to the next one. We'll see what happens. I'm actually quite curious to see how this whole ad thing shakes out, or if we see it. I don't know if it might be just a thing that the players see and have to manage somehow.
I assume we can get that from the first play. I assume we don't see it in the first person perspective. My gut feeling is this is going to be using the cursor mob that was recently introduced. I forget the name of the engineer that was working on that one, but that might be how it's done. We won't know exactly until we actually get somebody in the first person perspective to see. So the players can press F. Oh, here we go. No, so it's not actually using that. It's basically providing little mini games, I think, for people to complete these adverts. Interesting. Yeah, here we go. So, okay, interesting. Yeah, so this is ability. It's giving people basically button combinations to have to press to deal with these.
Okay. So you have to complete the challenges to gain ad power, and you can't run out or you die. And there's a lot of pop-ups coming up here. This is I've seen computers like this when I did tech support in my school district.
Okay, I like this. This is a fun idea, but I think very quickly quite overwhelming. So you can request these adverts yourself as a player. You've got to be careful not to overwhelm yourself, because if you hit 30 ads, your computer will explode and you will die in game.
Right, which you obviously want to avoid. Cyclone over here. Leading with 2 kills so far, but Very Canadian did get that one onto the Torbjorn a little earlier. I think just wanted to build up some ability power first, just so he could start getting in people's faces and firing away. Look at his ad power meter. It's so high already.
Yeah, this is a really good showing from Very Canadian. Has a bit of momentum behind them already. And look at the rollout from this guy. Somebody, a very clearly experienced Lucio player. Nice boot. Can't quite find the connect. 1 melee more, and there we go. Very Canadian with a strong lead already, Phil.
And making good, efficient use of his ad power. I like, though, the Torbjorn, because the turret just counts as like one ability, but it starts dealing consistent damage. So an efficient use of ad power, perhaps, but I don't know where it is. And now Very Canadian deciding to load up on some ad power here.
It feels like a very snowbally kind of game mode. I think once you've hit a certain level of ad power, because you can afford to spend time out of the ads with a comfortable lead, you can just generate more and more power here, which I think is kind of what we're seeing here for Very Canadian. Whereas, you know, yes, that's only managed less than 8 ad power here and hasn't really been given the space, hasn't been given the time to generate more ad power. So he's suddenly got a lot on screen, but because there was so much stuff for him to do, he couldn't take the 1v1 with Very Canadian.
Right, and he was trying to get that ad power online. Oh my goodness. While in the middle of a fight. You really have to take some time outside of the middle of a team fight to try and build up your ad power here. That was just a lot. But look at the amount of ad power he has to work with.
I love that ad, which was, your parents disappointed in you, got a sickness, need an exorcism, call for professional bloodletting. There's some real creativity in these. Oh my days, this is a lot of ads. Ad power pretty good here, but how can he see what is going on with 12 ads on screen?
Right. I think he bit off a little more than he could chew there. Tried to pull up a bunch of different ads, but it also builds up your ultimate very quickly. Not that that does much when you're getting booped off the map by Very Canadian.
It's one of the first notes I ever got as a caster when doing casting reviews is there's basically nothing. There's no counterplay towards getting booped, so it's always a really good thing to talk about. And I think the fact that there is no counterplay here means that Very Canadian has made a very good choice, particularly on this map where there's so much exposed space.
Right. But he does have to take some time to build up his ad power. It's pretty low now, and this Torbjorn is coming up to challenge it as best they can anyway. Oh, but a McCree coming in from the back from not so close.
It's certainly a good place to start on this one, but I feel like, again, like talking again about how easy it is to generate a very early lead with ad power, the fact that nobody is anywhere close to touching Canadian suggests that that might be, let's not call it a shortcoming because it's how the game is supposed to work, but it means that you've got to be very, very quick off the bat with generating your ad power. Like you've got to almost like find a safe space and just generate ad power, get that early lead, find the kills, and go from there.
I almost wonder how differently this would go if we restarted it right now, given what they have learned, even in this short amount of time. I wonder if heroes might be swapped. I like the Sim, I like the Torb. They don't seem to have gotten much done, but I think that's just because of the map geometry more than the game mode itself. And Very Canadian, in that same way, has gotten a lot done here because Lucio is super efficient with the ad power, because if you're getting boop kills or just getting in people's faces, you can get a lot done with a little. So, strong word from him. The swap from Yesat, that could be interesting.
Yeah, I think really what you want, you touched on it there, is efficiency. It's, can I spend the least amount of points and find the most amount of kills? So this is already looking significantly better for Yesat here, already up to nearly 40 ad power here. He's got a lot of ads on screen to clear, and the second anybody presents himself, he's got a quick, low-cost combo that secures him the kill.
Right, I mean, just a hook smash, as it were, gets a lot done, but does not use a lot. The same thing can be said with LO2, just kind of backing up slowly and using his Helix missiles as well. Very Canadian getting taken down there, LO2 catching up, 5 kills. Definitely still a ways to go with 4.5 minutes left to play. But LO2 has managed to build up a good amount of ad power here, and if he's shooting well, could get a lot done.
Yeah, certainly starting to ramp up here in terms of what's capable. A lot of ad power still to play with, and some time and some mobility to get out of the way. Actually, taking down Very Canadian here would have been a great start, but Very Canadian, the mobility too good. Already nicely amped up on ad power, even getting the kill there onto Yesat as well. I think this guy is going to be pretty untouchable for the rest of the round. Like, this is now a battle for second place.
Oh, definitely. What's interesting to see here, too, is that using Sprint as Soldier 76 takes up ad power. So the mobility of the hero is actually impinged severely. You can see the ad power here just going down and down and down. Even those little, like, try and sprint to get around the corner a little bit faster, that's almost 20 ad power on its own. So you really have to be careful, and you really need to build up a lot to kind of have the full effectiveness of Soldier's kit in a fight.
And I wonder how much thought has gone into specifically what different abilities cost in this game mode, because what we're seeing is that the boop here from Very Canadian is very, very good value. If that costs the same as, for example, Soldier's Sprint on a second to boop comparison, then it means that there are characters in this that are fundamentally broken compared to others. Like, you want basically to be spending as little as possible. And if some characters just don't have that as an option, then, you know, it's a little bit of a shortcoming in the game mode that I think with a little bit of tweaking could really make this a very fun game mode to play. It almost feels like a tactics game.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think ultimately I feel like there should be heroes that are more expensive to play than others, perhaps. Heroes who are a little more survivable, whose cooldowns are more effective, perhaps a Zarya. I would maybe tweak Zarya to, her bubbles are expensive, but you can use both of them on yourself. Something like that. That would be kind of interesting, because obviously the team bubble doesn't, have much stock in a free-for-all sort of game. So definitely with some tweaks, I could see that being insanely competitive, very tactical, very strategical in terms of kind of phases of, okay, everybody back up. We're all just going to get spammed with these ads for a second, do our little combos, and then all go and fight it out, and just have these different. Everybody's trying to either build or spend or find, or build or spend or find, and that was just a lot of fun to watch. I like the dynamics that we saw there.
It was, and I think it's a thing that has a lot of very easily accessible balancing knobs. So like, you put out a build, you go, oh, actually, this hero's got a huge amount of value, so we'll just turn up how much resource this costs to use, and then voila, they're balancing. Like it's a very quick iteration game mode. So I really hope actually that we see free to play hell refined and published as a full game mode, because again, I think it has a lot of potential here. But that is all we've got from free to play hell today. And we're going to be moving over onto our next and final game mode before we throw to another quick break. And this one is called Spare Rations.
Looks pretty interesting, this one. A pretty minimal description, but we'll give you what we got. This is a 1 to 3 player survival game. There's not enough food, not enough healing, and not enough time to hunt. Reach
it
day
also
10.
seems like real life.
Right, yeah. I mean, just parallels everywhere, man. It's just how 2020 has gone. This feels like a resource management survival situation, kind of like a 7 Days to Die or similar RPG. Curious to see how it's implemented in Overwatch, the first-person shooter, made by Blizzard Entertainment. But these guys love to impress, and I love to watch. So we will see how this goes as we get into Ilios Lighthouse here in a minute.
Yeah, so we unfortunately don't have a lot of information on the mechanics of this. Some of the descriptions that have come to us for these game modes give us like a breakdown of what the controls are and what they all do. You now know as much as we do about how this game mode is going to work until, of course, we see it go live. So we do actually have the dev here to talk us through. So this is going to be Wildbyte coming in to tell us a little bit about this game mode. So welcome to the broadcast, Wildbyte. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about this game mode? Because the description as is a little bit minimal.
It is. I see people are a little confused here in the other chat. Well, basically, it's, I want to say loosely inspired by Don't Starve, where you have a hunger bar, and then if your hunger bar runs out, you die. So each day, or in-game day, you go out and you hunt. I called it a rabbit, but it really could have called it a frog since it's Lucio. And you bring it back, bring it to the butcher, which is Ana, and you use I Need Healing, turns it into food, and then you just feed yourself and NPCs, keep them alive, keep yourself alive, and try to make it to day 10.
All right. We have a link here with a little more of the description. Ana being the butcher, like you said, who takes Lucio the rabbit and turns him into delicious rabbit stew. We have Mercy, the healer, who can heal some of your wounds, but it takes a toll on her. And then Soldier 76, the trapper, who provides 1 rabbit trap every day. Can you explain, actually, the one I'm curious about there is Mercy, the healer. What sort of toll does it take on her? Does it deal damage that you then have to deal with, or some other effect?
So for each of the NPCs, whenever they provide a service to you, it actually reduces their hunger bar, as if they used up energy.
Mm-hmm. And you just want to keep them from starving, like you said, very inspired by Don't Starve.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
This seems like a very complicated game mode for a game jam. It seems like, to me, as a non-expert, feels like there is a lot of stuff going on under the surface here.
I could see that, yeah.
I
did put a lot of thought into the mechanics.
It looks really interesting, though. Just even watching this go down, kind of seeing how are our three heroes here, Big Bomb, LO2, and Not So Cool One, how are they going to handle chasing down this little tiny Lucio and managing their resources and keeping their NPCs alive? Like, this is a lot of strategy to get into, but the fact that it can be implemented in a game like Overwatch, this is really interesting. So they have to lay down their traps and hope that the little Lucio walks into them, right? That's the only way to catch him?
You could also go out and hunt with just your bow and arrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I see. A bit of okay, we actually get a different experience entirely in the first-person mode. So there's snow effects here, and that's going to be... Looks like we got the kill here for Not So Cool One. Has found the tiny Lucio. Still in the middle of the snowstorm, and he's... there we go, he's got it. I think we can hear the Beast in action now, which is a Winston, I believe.
Yep. We are getting tracked down by a very angry scientist. Okay.
This is really very clever, Wadbite. I'm very impressed by this.
So, given the damage they've taken, they might want to heal themselves, but they also have to worry about keeping their NPCs alive at the same time. Does going out into the smoke damage you, or is it just getting tracked down by Winston?
You do take damage in the storm. Every, I believe, 5 seconds you take a random number between around 3 and 9, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So, how long did this take you to put together? Because again, it seems very complicated.
Honestly, longer than I should have taken on it for a game jam. I had a lot of free time during this past weekend and a few days before, so I've really just been doing this at least a total of 12 hours.
Oh wow. This is looking very polished for 12 hours. If you forgive me, I'm not all that familiar with our creators inside the workshop community. Take it this isn't your first game here.
I understand.
This is actually only the second game I've made for the workshop.
Affirmative.
What was is the first one something we've likely to have seen?
Probably not. I just released it like a week ago. It was in Attack on Titan PvE.
You know what? I did see that come up.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen that.
It sounds like a lot of fun, actually. I have not kept as much track of these as I might like as we get into our next day of survival here. Our heroes are getting a bit beleaguered. This storm is doing quite a bit of damage to them.
Yeah, very Canadian's in trouble here. Hunger down to 29, health down to 40. We have found the Lucio here. I'm not sure, can the melee kill the Lucio, or does it have to be the weapon?
You can also use melee, whatever form regular Overwatch damages.
Any thoughts on expanding this one on the back of how it's come out today, or is this just going to be the one and done?
I may add variations to the quote-unquote wildlife. Maybe some animals will give you more food.
I understand.
Okay.
They're really all having to funnel in all their food to Mercy just because they've been taking so much damage from the storm. I don't know if they'll be able to go out and hunt on this next day, unless they can catch the Lucio right next to them.
Yeah, I've not got my hopes up for these guys surviving through to the end of day 3. There's not a lot of health. There's very low numbers on the hunger here, so not looking all that hopeful.
And if any of the NPCs die, do they lose, or is it like everybody has to die?
Let me start with the way to win. The way to trigger the win is just to have at least one person that is a non-NPC alive by the end of day 10. Since you can't really progress without a player. You die once every non-NPC player dies.
I see.
Gotcha.
Well, it's looking a little dire here.
Yeah, I mean, Elo2 did get a bit of hunger dissipated, but still very low on health. Like at this point, I don't know that either of them can actually venture out into the storm. They've kind of just got to wait for the Lucio to swing by and hope for the best.
Well, they do have their Sonics as well, so if they can set a trap down outside and hope that the Lucio springs into it, that saves them a lot of resources.
It looks like we've reached the end of day 2, so 1 day left to survive, and we lose Soldier here as well, so that's the Trapper gone. And L2 and Very Canadian still not looking particularly healthy.
Nope, I don't think they really... They're curious about... Yep, they kind of had to sacrifice her to even make it through this day, but I'm not sure that's not something they wanted to find.
In toe-to-toe with the Winston, Elo2's down. It's just Very Canadian left with not a lot of health here. Don't think we got anything out of that either. Hunger 8, HP 8. It's not looking great, and that's it. Very Canadian down.
Yeah, they made it to day 4, to their credit, but I think they... I think in those first couple days where they were really trying to figure out what the storm does and how Lucio paths and how to take him back to camp, they took a little extra damage. You know, maybe on the next round they make it to day 5 or 6, perhaps, or longer. Certainly, I don't think they're incapable of doing something like that. But this is definitely you got to be careful. This is a game mode that really is punishing if you're not paying attention to how to manage your resources right. That's really cool.
Yeah, a bit of a steep learning curve, but Wildboy, that was a really cerebral game mode when you consider this as a first-person shooter. The fact that you're able to bring together this completely different game type has been really impressive to watch.
Thank you, man.
No problem at all. Everybody's still in the chat and watching us today. I hope you've been enjoying the game so far. We are going to throw to a quick break here whilst we give everybody a chance to rest their wrists and get back into lobby. And of course, don't forget that coming up in this next week, we do, of course, have the Trial of Champions, the first third-party event to be officially included in the Overwatch Path to Pro. Any Tier 2, Tier 3 team that doesn't have a space in Trials is welcome to take part. There's a $3,000 prize pool in the offing, sponsored by Blizzard, as well as 2 highly coveted Contenders Trials places coming up for the top 2 teams within the tournament. If you're interested in learning a little more, then go to elohell.gg/TOC for more information. And the games start October 14th, broadcasted right here live on the Elohell Twitch. As for now, though, we're going to throw it to a quick break, and then we'll be back shortly with what's left of today's games.
How much health? Sigma? Oh! Oh, whoa! Whoa, man, we're back with a...
And the Amp Matrix up on the pillar just for cool ABC. Go absolutely berserk.
So you queue up for Overwatch Ranked, only to be greeted by this, which then leads to this, and oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing? The solution? Elo Hell pickup games.
Hey, you know what? Just what we're doing.
Oh my god, it's huge!
Oh, no! Kill! Let's go.
Open to players of all ranks and most platforms, Pugs give you the chance to experience competitive Overwatch as it was meant to be played. Competitively.
I need help. I'm with you. Shoot.
No way, dude.
Go. Let's go. Nice. Good call.
Players set their icons to indicate the role they want to play, then 2 captains pick their teammates and draft the most competitive teams they can. You can also take part in our pioneering learning event, Coached Pugs. To take part, join the Elo Hell Pickup Games Discord, and be sure to read the Pug Guide and FAQ. Good luck, have fun, and we'll see you in-game.
Welcome back, everybody. Here we are in the final portion of today's broadcast with 3 more game modes to bring at you. And the first of those, from myself and Thibble giving you the commentary, is going to be a game mode called Not Enough Damage.
Looks pretty interesting, this one. We were watching a little bit of it play out during the break, some testing just to make sure everything was working right. It is a boss fight, your standard World of Warcraft masterclass. Supports 1 to 6 additional players. There's a bot on the other team. No, it's not me or Phil. It's an actual robot. There are 6 different heroes you can play. There's Mei, Symmetra, Lucio, Widowmaker, Winston, or Sombra. And you are fighting a giant, constantly regenerating, pretty slow, and very large Reinhardt. And he is just doing his best to swing away at you and throw fire strikes, and you just have to burn him down. We've thought of some potential strategic notes. Not sure if the teams playing have really figured it out, but we're going to see as we get into the game what they have learned from their brief testing period.
Yeah, we think we've got this solved. We think this is all down to just trying to get the environmental kill, which admittedly difficult on Reinhardt because of his passive, which makes him that bit harder to displace. But, you know, there's enough players here with enough boops, with enough CC that it really shouldn't be too much of an issue, which concerns me the minute that we only appear to have 1 Lucio on the field so far.
I mean, 1 might be all you need if you can freeze. He's right on this bridge. If you can freeze him right with these 4 Meis that we have on the field and wall him off, kind of zone him in the right way, you know, it could be done.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple more Lucios or Winstons building up primals might be welcome, but
yeah,
they're doing what you can.
Yeah, there are 6 heroes. Oh, here we go. I think they're actually looking to do it. You can see them just slowly edging the Reinhardt over. There he is, into the pit. Okay, they knew exactly how that was going to work. It's a solved problem, is that one, I think, Thibble.
Having him spawn right there next to the bridge is a little broken. I would almost have him spawn in that first courtyard of the first point, and then you got to try and get him all the way through the street and over to the bridge. The test round we were watching was in Paris, which we are going to right now, and he was spawned right near the police building in the first point sort of courtyard, and they had to try and get him all the way over to the point itself. And that seems like the real challenge. There's a lot of World of Warcraft mechanics at play here. You can kite him. You have to get aggro. There's a lot of stuff you have to manage there. But giving him that little extra distance to wiggle around in is really what I think makes this game pretty compelling. So we'll see how it plays out as they rush to attack the boss here on first point of Paris.
Yeah, and looking at the lineup that we've got here, I think they've maybe gone all in on this this boot strategy, because it's what 1, 2, 3, 4 Lucios, 2 Winstons, a Mei, 2 Meis, and a Widowmaker for some reason. I don't really understand the Widowmaker in this lineup. If your goal is to get him over towards the edge of the map and displace him, it feels like a bit of a wasted pick.
I mean, there's always a player in your games that's just going to instantly lock Widow. You know, there's nothing to do about it. You just kind of have to let them do their thing, because otherwise they start flaming you. It's a whole thing. I do agree. I like that they're playing a lot of Mei, a lot of Lucio, The thing is, though, I was talking about kiting and aggro and stuff like that. This Reinhardt is going for the Sombra, so the Sombra ought to be running the point to get the Reinhardt to follow them as slowly as this Reinhardt is moving. It looks like they've got that figured out now.
Yeah, it looks like they're finally starting to act. I wonder what the internal logic is for the Reinhardt. Does he go for the closest? If closest, does he go to where the most number of people are? I think there's a lot that can be done with this game mode to more properly understand what the underlying AI mechanics are for the bots in the game, which, whilst, not a huge advantage in terms of strategy, it's just interesting to understand how these things are put together. They're doing a good job of kiting over this. I think kind of halfway towards where he needs to be now.
Right, they pushed past the police building up onto this upper courtyard. I don't know if he will fit across that little bridge into that building. I would probably try and bring him straight to point. You can see a few people are just waiting on the point. They know that's where they need to go, so they're not even going to try and kind of get in this guy's face because he's regenerating so fast. They're dealing a decent amount of damage. No, you really have to go for this displacement. So I think they're all kind of figuring that out, heading towards point. But there are a couple stragglers that are kind of giving that Reinhardt pause and making him spin in circles a bit.
Yeah, but now that they've got the Primal Raging Winston in the mix, he's moving over towards the boot point with a little more alacrity. There's the freeze and over the edge. What a thrilling display of teamwork.
Right, building up those primals is pretty key. You don't even actually need that many Mays. We saw like 4 in that first round, but only 2, I believe, 3, excuse me, in this one. Where your bread is buttered is really with your Winstons and your Lucios. The Mays just have nice zoning opportunities with the wall and some slowing opportunities as we see Sazonbite paving the way, opening up the red carpet here for this Reinhardt to be knocked off the map to his death. It's a fun little mode.
It is. I actually like it. It to me feels very similar to a lot of cooperative board games where everybody has their own role that they have to play, and it's about teamwork and making sure that the right people are doing the right action at the right time. And in a very similar way to our first game mode, Not Enough Teamwork, I feel like it's a really good exercise in teaching people in Overwatch who sometimes don't want to learn this lesson that actually cooperating and working together towards the same goal is actually how you win on that one. So I was very impressed by Not Enough Damage. I think a surprisingly complex game mode for what it looks like in an 11v1 boss mode.
I would love to see something done with Widowmaker there because it's not necessarily like there's a lot of potential that Widowmaker could bring to the table. Perhaps if you score a fully charged headshot on the Reinhardt there, briefly stunned, or some sort of applying effect, maybe even bringing in Ana for a short duration sleep dart or something. But I definitely think not every hero would be viable for that. I feel like Doomfist, for instance, would be pretty busted. But we are getting into now, I believe, the Deadly Bid, which is a very interesting mode.
Yeah, this is one of the more, I don't want to downplay the rest of our maps, but it's an interesting game mode. So the idea is, this starts off as a deathmatch, but any damage that you do is silently recorded in a way that you as a player can't actually observe. After a couple of minutes, there's an auction that starts up. I've got a note here that auction is not actually an auction. So in the auction, a random player will be chosen and you have to bid how many points that player has gotten in those 2 minutes. So it's kind of a guessing game. It's how good you are at tracking who's been doing what damage to you as a player.
Yeah, it's important to kind of keep an eye on, like, okay, I've been maybe killed this many times, or this person has been dealing this much damage. They're playing a Bastion, for instance, as we see Jawsbird on. They've probably been dealing quite a bit of sustained damage to people. And then when we get into that auction phase, you have to be ready because you can bid. The note is that it's not actually a bid. And then if you get close enough to the true value of the damage dealt, you get bonus points. So some tacking up going on here over the course of the standard free-for-all. But when we get into that air quotes auction phase, that's when things start getting really interesting.
It is, and I was looking at this and wondering, like, okay, do you just, you track Provoxin, it's like, okay, he's got 11 kills, 12 kills, cool, so that's, let's call it an average of 200 HP, that's, like, my estimate is 200 times 12, that's my bid, but, of course, this is only counting final blows, like, it doesn't actually track what your overall damage is in a visible way, and I think you need a lot of experience in guessing, like, for your hero, or for anybody's hero, in fact, what the average damage done per kill is, or per 10 minutes, and I think that's a really difficult skill.
Right, and now we're getting into the auction phase. Everyone's going to be able to, air quotes, bid on the amount of damage that has been dealt by. The first up is Havosats.
Okay.
So you can enter a damage value that you feel that they have done, and whoever gets closest gets bonus points at the end of the auction.
There is apparently a penalty if you don't guess enough damage, but we've been left to our own best guesstimate as to what that actually is penalty-wise, because the sentence ends in a very ominous ellipsis.
Yeah, however, if your guess is not enough, who knows what happens? Maybe they lose points, maybe they die, maybe they have some sort of penalty inflicted to their damage dealt or something.
Okay.
We shall see. Getting dropped. Oh, no, we're getting back into the round now. So, back into doing some more calculations between auction rounds, kind of watching who's getting kills, who's dealing damage, how much of that damage they are dealing. Provoking here, just do it work.
I wonder if it resets between rounds or if you've got to keep a running total. Because that obviously makes things that bit harder. And like, there's so many things to track here, because if you're trying to track like the player in first place, like Provoxin is doing a lot of damage, he's getting a lot of kills, so you might be thinking maybe that's the important person to track, but if it tracks the person in last place who's only managed to hit one bullet on one person, how do you know that? Like, this requires a lot of mental power to really keep track of everything.
This is definitely one of those game modes where I would be holding down the tab key and just trying to keep an eye on who's doing what. You know, how much damage on average is one of these heroes going to be doing to get the kill? Is it a hero perhaps like Genji or Sombra who goes in for cleanup kills? Is it a hero perhaps like Bastion or Echo that seem to be doing the lion's share of the damage in their kills? And like you said, given perhaps a 200 health average and how many kills they have, how much, you know, blah blah math formulas, algorithms, etc. So yeah, this is a thinking man's game, as they might say, a thinking gamer's game. And jeez, Provoxin. If this was a normal deathmatch, we'd be going nuts about this guy.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that I'm focusing on. It's like, well, you know, maths aside, Provoxin is popping off in a big way here. Clearly somebody that's got a lot of Genji time under the belt. Oh.
Yep. There is just one random Ana bot that snuck their way in and is just hanging out. You gotta respect it. What'll be interesting is if that Ana gets brought up to auction, because technically you should always be able to calculate their damage rate. It's 0. So would everyone get bonus points? I'm very curious to see that happens as we get into this next auction.
And did you know, Thibble, remove the last action in the script to remove bots?
I have heard that. I've seen that a couple times.
Ooh,
oh boy.
Right. Provoxin. A
This
lot
is a
of
big
damage
one.
to this guy.
You can see everyone's guess damage numbers going up, except the Ana. She is a bot. She's actually not going to guess at all. Some people are guessing pretty high, thousands of damage here. I'm curious. I'm curious what the actual number is. I wonder.
Around the 1200 mark. I think 1200 seems about right.
Yeah, for 27 kills.
Yeah, because you know it's cleanup kills a lot of the time with the Genji. It's dash resets. It's not a. Let's have a look.
It's
What are we
true.
actually getting?
Correct answer is
Oh, double what I guessed. More than double what I guessed. 3.2.
well, it did specify that Zomaga was 3,213 off. I did not see their final guess, but that's what their margin was. So they did not get any benefits because of their guess. But I don't believe they got any penalties either. It just specified this is how off you were. So interesting. I need to keep track, I guess, of what that person is guessing, whoever's on the screen while we're doing the auction. And when it says how far off you are, you just have to do the math, which terrifies me. I'm a history.
I'm not, you know, I've got a university education, but I just don't have the energy for tracking that kind of thing anymore, man. Oh, Provoxin with some free damage there. Onto the twice onto the animal.
Well, are there 2 bots, or did it respawn right in front of him?
It respawned in front of him.
Talk about lucky for this guy. Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, this is really interesting because this phase for us especially is so dedicated to observing and just keeping an eye on how much damage is this person dealing relative to their kills. You know, obviously Provoxin is kind of the hero of the show at the moment because they're just doing so much work. But all of these people could be the person that comes up to auction. So you have to, if you're a player, keep track of everybody as best you can. And that is easier said than done.
Oh, well, 2 dragons on the field here, one going slightly amiss on that one as Bravoxy manages to slash there onto Josbird. Looking for another one, finds Zonk there as well. One final kill for good measure. And yeah, Bravoxy smurfing in this lobby right now.
Definitely. So many kills, so much damage here. I think, if I can recall right, which I probably can't, I think Zomaga's bid was somewhere in the 1800s. And if they were 3,200 off, that puts you at like 5,000 or so. And that was before the other 12 or 15 kills I think they've gotten this round. Let's see who comes up as we get into the next round of auctions.
Looks like we're going to go into that now. Let's see who gets roared up for this one.
Oh, Bastion here, who's been getting a lot of damage done, who's been using their ultimate pretty regularly. You see Provoxin here making a guess, approaching 2,100 or so. 15 seconds left to bid. People are putting in their guesses. We're going to see who comes closest.
I feel like the more you play this game, the better you get at actually completing. But I feel like it's going to take a very long time to actually get that skill earned in the first place. Like, there's going to be a lot of hours in the game.
Okay, so they guessed around 1,500 or so. 1636. So that was actually pretty close.
Yeah.
See, okay, so they're starting to kind of get it, I think. I think they're starting to figure out, you know, relative to the number of kills and everything.
And I would have to say that is Provoxin. Provoxin to me is giving off the aura of a fairly high level player here. Like, I feel like that must give you an advantage. Like, even if it's not like the actual mathematics, but like just a general understanding of how much damage you can do in a space of time on a hero like that.
Right, and there are actually a lot of people, like 2 or 3 other people close to Provoxin in terms of kills, and therefore potentially in terms of damage done, as Provoxin kind of tells not a cool one to sit there. But yeah, we have Josbird and I believe Zazombai as well, each in the 20s in terms of kills. Josbird just trying to poke down Zazombai as he just mows him away. With the recon mode even, doing a lot of work. Oh yeah. The beat.
Yeah.
Strategy at any cost.
I wonder if the damage onto the decaying barriers of the sound barrier counts in the overall total for this. Unfortunately, this is one of the modes where we don't get the developer in to talk to us about the mechanics of some of this.
I generally think that sound barrier health does count towards hero damage done, so I believe it would count towards their damage total, which is another interesting wrinkle. You know, there's only one Lucio, I believe, on the field. But that adding that extra health over the course of a round is like another thing to consider and add up, in addition to all of these extra little wrinkles coming through. The duplicates from Echo, the Dragon Blades, the cleanup kill versus major damage kills. Yeah, it's close 1v1 there.
Yeah. And I'm wondering is if Zombie is the same Bastion player that we had in Not Enough Pain that was just spamming the Jingle Bells.
It is.
The entire time through that one. So it is the same one. 100%. Well, we know who the culprit is now.
Yep, it's been chaotic. All right, Havo stats here on the Torb. I'm gonna assume most people will trend low on their guesses. Turret damage is consistent, but not high per shot. Anna, of course, still not guessing. Cactus Puppy putting around 1,900. Yeah, I think most people are assuming 1,800, 2,000-ish. I believe the damage totals as well are cumulative. So as the round goes on, you know, you have to think about...
Somebody gets like 35,000 damage?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, that was not quite right. He's dealt 378.
Oh, well,
not a lot
at all. Yeah.
No, I think Havostats has been on the lower end, both of kills and then therefore damage done over the course of the round. I think their turrets were being focused down pretty consistently. There are a couple other Torgrons kind of taking the spotlight away, like Wildbite here. And just in general, players like Provoxin and Roseburg and Zomg are really all just the ones really doing the work here. So I think we have one more round coming into it. We have about 90 seconds left in the game. One more chance for some bonus points to see who comes out on top, as Provoxin is just widening with massive lead.
We still haven't seen any of the the apparent consequences for not having guessed sufficiently high. I'd love to know what they actually are, and if we have just missed what they were because we weren't spectating that person at the time.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. You know, we can only really ever watch one person's final result at a time without just rapidly flicking through all these different people, which would give you all motion sickness. But yeah, I mean, it could be perhaps longer cooldown durations, slower ult charge, less damage dealt, kind of like a Trouble in Terrorist Town sort of modifier when your karma is low, something like that. But I mean, I think we've all seen that over the course of a standard workshop mode, the punishments that you can inflict upon your players are severe and many-faceted, so there could be some real creative stuff here.
If somebody was to give you the worst possible punishment for you personally as a player, what would that be?
I already live it every day. I've been in Plat for 20 seasons. Yeah, trust me.
Life is
there's
a living
nothing.
nightmare.
There's really, we talk about the parallels of reality and these game modes. I live that every day. No, some pretty interesting punishments I think over the course of the round would probably just be like, you're really slow, you're twice as big, your ultimate builds 10% quicker or slower, excuse me. And Provoxen, it looks like, with some bonus points and just a huge amount of kills, is taking the win here in.
I guess we don't really know. Like, there's no way, as far as I'm aware, in the workshop for them to have a definitive, like, you have won using this game shop mode in this end screen. Like, it's always going to default to the play of the game here. A bit of a shame. Would have liked to have known who was the best at guessing that one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's. What's interesting too, when we think about all these wrinkles to talk about, you know, making sure you can calculate everything right and doing all the hangover math in your head, like your Zach Galifianakis, it's also just important to get a ton of kills. Like Provoxen, I believe, made a couple good guesses over the course of that round, but in addition, was just mowing people down. He said, it doesn't matter how well I manage the auction portion if I'm just killing everyone. So something to consider there, perhaps, in terms of maybe rewarding auctioneers more, depending, to kind of keep them competitive with the people who are just focusing solely on kills. I obviously don't know the exact value, so I don't want to say it's imbalanced because that looked pretty fun overall. So very interesting to see.
It's one way would have been really good to have the developer in, just to hear what their thoughts were on like what the reward mechanisms were. And specifically what the punishment mechanisms were, because I'm very curious about that one. Would have been nice to have a little bit more info on this one. Maybe we can reach out to them after this broadcast is over and find out a little more. But that does put us, Thibble, in a position where we are looking at our last game mode of the evening. And we're moving over now to a mode called Sleepy Overwatch, which I don't believe is a reference to the streamer.
No, it is not. This one actually reminds me a lot of Short-Lived, perhaps, or our first game mode, maybe Not Enough Teamwork, where there are global modifiers applied. It's a very simple mechanic, but you just have to manage it in addition to running your standard FFA shenanigans. So, everyone in this game is, air quotes, sleep deprived. As you force yourself to stay awake by playing, right? Oh my God. As you force yourself to stay awake over the course of this free-for-all deathmatch, you do less damage, less self-healing, you move and turn slower, and your cooldowns are longer. Now, just like in real life, you can fix your sleep deprivation with a cheeky little nap, and you just lay down for 5 seconds. Or excuse me, you press jump and crouch. I know, right? Oh, you just lay down and press a couple buttons and you're right to sleep. By taking these little naps, by pressing jump and crouch, you reduce your fatigue level. I imagine there's a meter or something they can keep track of. If you let yourself reach 100% fatigue, you pass out for 5 seconds. You just fall over asleep. Taking damage also increases your fatigue at a rate of 1% per 10 damage. And it has a little note at the end that says, sorry, Roadhog players, who are probably not in a good way here.
No, for a tank, like that puts you at a massive disadvantage if you're at low health.
I almost assume you don't want to play tanks in this, strictly because it would be so much easier to take that damage and your fatigue is just going to be so high all the time. I would play some smaller hitbox heroes. Excuse me, like an Ana, a Tracer, a Widow, perhaps, who can deal a lot of damage, inflict a lot of fatigue on their enemies, get away when they need to go for a quick little siesta. I'm interested to see which heroes these guys feel are best for this game mode as we get in on Castillo.
I feel like heroes with a lot of utility and self-sustain, so a Mei, an Ana, maybe even a soldier, probably quite good on this one. You've just got to be quick and careful to balance out the cost of what your abilities take from you in terms of fatigue. But I feel like if you can get that balance right and keep cycling through fatigue and abilities like that, you're probably in a pretty good position.
I wonder if you can Zarya bubble yourself while you take your nap.
That would be useful. So I believe we are going to be getting our developer in for this one, and they have, in fact, just joined the chat. Loa or Josbird, the developer.
You can't actually fall asleep when you're invincible.
Okay.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Wait, so what was the inspiration for this one, Josbird? Okay.
We may have lost him.
I believe he's muted again. I think the difficulty here is that they are also playing the game at the same time, and it looks like a game mode that takes a little bit of brain power, so I can understand not being able to give an interview at the same time.
Sorry, the issue was I was listening to the stream and I didn't realize you guys were actually talking to me.
Apologies. Yep.
But yeah, the inspiration was, I mean, somebody mentioned something in the event general chat about making a mode like this, I think, and I was just like, oh, that sounds interesting, I'll mess around with that, and now we are here.
now here we are at the broadcast. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, how long did it take you to kind of develop this and put all these pieces into place?
It didn't really take that long. I actually wasn't originally planning to to submit a mode, but I decided to submit this one when I saw that nobody else used the idea. But it took me like 2 hours, basically.
Really? Because it actually looks like a very complex game mode in terms of like keeping track of fatigue and stuff. So is it actually a lot simpler than it looks?
Yeah, I would say so. The basics of it are you have this number that is constantly going up, which is it's actually a number that's constantly going down. It's energy, but I listed it as fatigue, and it shows the inverse of it. But all the other stats are just constantly being changed, like the move speed and the aim speed and stuff, as you gain fatigue. And like most of that stuff is just kind of automated, so it's just like using formulas. So it's like a couple rules basically to take care of that stuff. The most complicated thing was making it so cooldowns are longer when you are more tired, which was just every time a cooldown becomes greater than 0, it is multiplied by a scalar.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What are your thoughts on the point we kind of brought up about how like tanks probably aren't welcome in this game mode just because of how much damage they can take?
Yeah, that was I was like thinking of like debuffs to add that would make you feel like you're tired, like being slow, and you would, like, if you took damage you would get more tired because you'd be like taking more combat basically, and it ended up just kind of working out. Like the things I came up with happened to be good for discouraging tanks, which a lot of people complain about in FFA, so I thought it was kind of convenient.
That's true, actually. This is a free-for-all, and it's not like tanks are exactly the most wholesome pick to make anyway, so this worked out pretty well.
What's your read on the best hero to be playing here?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm not even good enough to take advantage. I would say the best hero is Genji, but only if you're Provo.
Yeah, Provo is, I believe the kids say, styling on people. So,
yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Once again,
it seems also like characters that, like this Pharah that I just shot at, that can stay out of reach of people a lot, so that they can nap more. Probably pretty good.
Can you nap in the air?
You can actually.
Oh, okay.
Just, I mean, you still fall, but you have some hang time.
Oh, there goes a tire. So, yeah, no, that seems like a good move for sure.
Sorry, Thibault, I was going to say, I take it this isn't your first workshop mode. You clearly got some experience under your belt.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I've done a lot of sort of messing around with Workshop, but I don't really release that many modes. But recently I released a cursor menu that you may have seen around sometimes.
Oh, that was you!
Yeah.
Okay.
That
okay,
thing is
okay.
amazing. That looked very complicated.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. Some parts of it are actually a pretty simple concept. Some parts of it are a lot of vector math that some other people have had difficulty with. But yeah.
So what's your background coming into this?
Like in terms of my coding experience?
Well, yeah, because I think the Overwatch Workshop, as I understand it, is, you know, if you're going to do coding with no experience, probably one of the friendlier places to do it. But, you know, it seems like to generate some of the more complicated stuff, having a coding background, having a technical background is probably fairly useful.
Yeah, I would say so. I have some experience coding. I'm not like a professional or anything, at least not yet, but I've done like hobbyist stuff, which is perfect for this kind of thing. I also did a lot of competition math in high school, which is like really good for building problem-solving skills. So that's how I kind of got into coding in the first place. So
very nice.
I came in pretty equipped, I would say.
Sure.
So let's see. Goodness, I am. As I've brought up, I have a degree in history, so all of this is total Greek. I am just along for the ride. It looks like a lot of fun, and we have a winner, Provo. Just
surprise.
Yeah, right. Just doing Provo things over here, just tearing it up. Genji seemed to be a very strong hero for this because cooldowns are good for Genji, but like losing a little modifier on them is not too bad at the end of the day. And then just the sheer amount of damage you can put out on the heroes. I mean, look at this guy. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe the change I would make to this game mode is maybe we just nerf Provo a little bit. He seems
You could actually detect battle tags if they have just letters, so I could, in theory, nerf Provo.
I have been warned that people are a little bit wary about custom game modes because you could, if you were dishonest, go in and tinker with battle tag specific stuff. So maybe for the best that it's not quite official just yet.
No, I definitely think that's necessary for version 2. Like, just make the man, deal half damage or something. Yeah. It's something has to change. It's unfair.
Yeah.
Well, Josper, thank you very much for joining us. It was really interesting to hear a little bit about how this came about and what the inspiration was. So thank you for sharing the workshop mode, and thank you again for the work on the cursor menu. That seems like a very powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for the rocky start of the interview.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, you did good, man. Thank you very much. That does, however, bring us very close to the end of the broadcast. So we had originally planned to try and develop what we thought we'll take the votes and see who we thought the winner of the best game mode was, but it looks like it's going to take a little bit of debate. So we're actually going to be releasing that via social media inside the next couple of hours once we've had a chance to deliberate and come up with an answer. So keep your eyes peeled to Twitter for now if you'd like to learn who came up with the best game mode and what that game mode was. And of course, it's entirely possible that if you have watched these game modes and enjoyed them, that you might find even more high-quality game workshop modes available on the Elo Hell Discord, Workshop Discord, or Come on, Phil. It's been a long day, guys. Mm-hmm. I do know words. Where can they find them, Phil? Well, help me out here.
Yeah, you can go to workshop.codes, which is just where there's a ton of custom game modes up and about. Stuff like you've seen today, some stuff that's a little more complicated, some stuff that's not as complicated, perhaps as our sheer amount of pain that's been shown in a couple of these. There is also the Elo Hell Workshop Discord, which you can find on socials and things like that. They're up on Twitter to just get some links and come into the channel, not only to find some game modes that you might be interested in playing with your friends or playing with the community, but also to gain resources to help you start making some of your own. If you have a really interesting idea for a game mode that you want to play, or if you saw something here that inspired you or that you might want to modify in some way with some idea that's bouncing around in your head, the Elo Hell Workshop's Discord can help you make it a reality, which is insane because Overwatch is not certainly the only game that does mods these days, because if I said that, someone out there would come kill me. They would come Fusroda me off a cliff or something. But the system is really robust. And we've shown you today, you can make survival RPGs or weird modifiers for free-for-all games or World of Warcraft-style boss fights. And that's just the tip of the iceberg with workshop modes. So if you have an idea and you want to make it happen, join us in the workshops Discord. Make it happen.
Yeah, and of course, it's a very active community. All you've got to do is look at Twitter for some of the stuff that is being put out there, and some really, really exciting stuff being put together behind the scenes. So it's worth getting involved, even if you're only like just a little bit curious about how it works. I think it's worth diving in and having a look and seeing what is on offer. And speaking of diving in and seeing what's on offer, it's worth bearing in mind that it is, of course, coming up to the return, the triumphant, exalted return of Elohell's Get Good, coming back in for Season 6. If you want to be in a position to experience the proper, full, competitive environment of Overwatch without all the drawbacks and inconveniences of ranked, this is absolutely the place to be taking part in it. And signups, you'll be very pleased to find, have now been extended through to October 17th. So just shy of a week for you to get involved, find a team, come along, get involved, and take part in Get Good Season 6. Teams are split up into ranks based on division, so you don't have to worry about poor platinum bordered, platinum ranked players like myself and Fibble suddenly up against top 500 players. It's all nice and balanced, so you've got a fair competition. And a lot of this is going to be streamed live here on the Elohell Esports Twitch, covered by people like myself and Thibbledork to bring you all the action and give you your turn in the spotlight so that you can get that feeling of the competitive glow in the spotlight of Overwatch. And if you'd like to learn a little more, there is info and sign-up details available at elohell.gg/getgood. But Thibble, this is kind of bringing us towards the end of the broadcast today.
Certainly is. Yeah, it's been an interesting day of Overwatch for sure. I'm still reeling, really trying to figure out what the heck not enough pain was. I think it was too much. I think it was too much pain. But overall, it's still. I respect the ambition of that game mode. I respect the length of the description and just the sheer number of things it was trying to do. Maybe just needs a couple tweaks. Otherwise, though, I mean, all of these game modes were just so inspired, so creative, really showed like what this community is capable of doing and making, which is frankly the best part of what we do, is seeing the community at work, having fun, playing games, and making the world a better place.
Yeah, it's all a phenomenal thing to be part of. That is unfortunately going to be the end of the broadcast for us here today, but from myself, from Fibble, and from all the wonderful people who keep the observation and the Discord and every aspect of production running so that we can bring this to you, thank you very much for tuning in. We hope to see you some point, not too distant future, for even more Elohell Esports Overwatch content. Good night and take care, everybody.
Bye all.
Tired of the competitive grind and random teammates? Want to put your team to the test against opponents of similar SR?
Go.
Ever been told to get good, but felt like you were never given the chance? Introducing our Get Good tournament, open to PC and console teams in NA and EU region. Our goal is to provide you with an environment that will push your team play and individual skills to new heights and an opportunity to make new friends along the way. Our divisions range from beginner to unlimited, and the tournament will start off with a 5 to 6 week group stage in Swiss format, ending in a 2-week-long playoff bracket. You can even be showcased live as we stream matches with talented casters every week on Twitch. The winner for each division is crowned champion and will get a fancy champion's role. Get Good signups will start on October 5th, with the tournament starting on the 23rd for PC and the 24th for console. And if you don't have a team yet, but would like to experience playing in a team, fear not. Solo player signups is a team building service offered by Elohell Esports in preparation for our Get Good tournament. Sign up on your own and you will be put into a team of 6. Solo player signups are open right now. Go to elohell.gg/getgood for more information and to sign up for the real 6v6 experience.